All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Omar Ida, Stockton PD Public Information Office. Today we'll have a press conference regarding an incident that took place in the early hours of August 2nd, yesterday morning, involving an officer of the Stockton Police Department who was shot during the incident. After the press conference, we will be shown a visual on the screen, and then we will open up for brief questions as they pertain to this incident. At this point, I will pass it on to Chief Stanley McFadden, followed by DA Ron Freitas.
Yes, again, thank you for all being here. With me, I have my Deputy Chief, Graviette. I have Ron Freitas, our District Attorney. Over to my right, I have Captain Swain, who's over investigations, and I have our Homicide Lieutenant, Lieutenant Fry. Again, thank you for being here. But before we dive into this, I'm gonna talk about the call I got at 03:17 in the morning on yesterday's date. It's a call that no parent, no chief, no one wants to get in the middle of the night. That call I got from DC Graviette was that I had an officer down. That is a gut-wrenching call that you don't want to hear, to where he had to repeat it a few times. He said, "Chief, you got an officer down." Obviously, when that happens, a lot of other notifications go out. And then to the family members of loved ones, they get that call that you have a loved one down. Because as I said before, they're more than just officers. They're also human beings. They're also very important to other people, their families, their friends, their loved ones, their children. So these are multiple notifications that were going out as soon as we became aware of what happened. We dispatched our officers to a carjacking that took place in the area of Knickerbocker and Bedloe. On that carjacking, an elderly male who was 69 years old was beaten with a firearm. That elderly male had to be taken to the hospital. He was taken to the emergency room. We had officers on scene within 6 to 7 seconds of that incident. Around 3:21 in the morning near Kentfield, our sergeant was alerted to a vehicle that he believed was associated to that carjacking. At that time, the 9-year veteran sergeant, he broadcasted that he was in pursuit. At 03:22, the sound of shots fired went off. Our sergeant came on the radio requesting emergency assistance. We had backup officers on scene within 1 minute. As you know, our sergeant sustained multiple injuries due to the shots. He was shot multiple times, one square in his chest. He was wearing a ballistic vest, which saved his life. With our sergeant being transported to the scene, there's still an ongoing investigation. There are still perpetrators of these crimes loose with firearms. We contained the area, we started doing immediate evacs, and we ordered a shelter in place in the neighborhood. We put that information out on social media to make everyone aware of what was going on. We had numerous allied agencies came to our assistance. We had to hold a containment. We had to have a react team. We had to have people in place because we did not know what we were going to encounter. We just had a vicious assault with multiple rounds being fired, so we had to be on high alert for anything that may come from that. At the conclusion of the exhausting investigations, with the support of our allied agencies, we were able to detain 5 individuals. Of the 5 individuals, we arrested a 20-year-old named Sunthawon Savon. There's many things that have to come about when this type of situation happens. And I want to start with our reporting party. You know, we prioritize our calls for service so we could be ready to go when there's a threat to life and property. And clearly this incident involved no greater threat. Elderly male was carjacked. He was beaten with a firearm. He called for help, and we responded. I also want to thank our community partners. As you know, we had to do a lot of evacuations throughout the day. The community was very supportive, very understanding, provided us information to help us with our investigation. Again, our allied agencies. Throughout the incident, I received calls from the sheriff, from our local area chiefs, from our state partners, from our federal partners, providing their resources available to us for this incident. Our detectives, who work tirelessly all the time, they responded to this. And there's no more difficult of a case when you're investigating one of your own as a victim. So my hat's off to our detectives that came in and just grinded it out for several hours. They're still working on the case as we speak. Dispatch. When you are a dispatcher, just as a chief or family member, you don't want that call over the radio that says you have an officer that has fallen, that you have an officer that is in need of emergency assistance. Our dispatch did exceptional work being on the channel, maintaining composure, ensuring help's getting to where it needs to be. Very difficult task to perform. Records, as you know, we have so many investigative pieces with something like that. They help piece together criminal histories, they help create timelines, they really help to be part of the team to where we could collectively work as a group and steer this investigation in the direction it needed to go. My evidence tech, again, it's so much harder to investigate your own, where they're having to see just how vicious the incident was, just how many casings were throughout the scene, where they had to be meticulous and ensure that all the evidence was collected so we can get to a successful prosecution. Our wellness unit. As you know, something like this is very traumatic, not only to the people directly involved, but to everyone else on the team. And when I say team, I'm talking about my 700 employees that are professional and sworn members of this department. Everyone leaned together in the same direction. Everyone was willing to help in any way. Our full-time wellness unit was very aggressive, very proactive. They met with our dispatchers. They met with officers that were on the scene. They met with the new team officer that had to relieve officers. They made sure they were available for conversations with any of our personnel that needed that type of assistance. Again, this is a horrific incident. The investigation is going to continue. What was perpetrated that evening against an officer could have been perpetrated against anyone. And again, our goal will always be able to take those that are driving force, that are driving violence off of the street. That's what we're committed to. And I just truly want to thank the community and the members of the department and our partners for that. At this time, I'm going to turn over to DA Ron Freitas.
Thank you, Chief. First, I want to wish the Stockton Police Department Sergeant a speedy recovery. I speak for everyone in saying how grateful we are that he is still here with us today. And I want to thank everyone for their prayers and thoughts for his family at this time. We at the District Attorney's Office stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters of the Stockton Police Department. And on Wednesday morning, I pledge the full support and resources of the District Attorney's Office to the Chief, the Mayor, the City Manager, and the Stockton Police Officers Association. Sunthawon Benny Savon will be arraigned on Friday in the San Joaquin County Superior Court. Make no mistake, everyone responsible will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Anybody who harms a police officer is in a special danger to our entire community. And it is my job as District Attorney to protect our community. I would like to thank certain members of my team who have been working tirelessly from the beginning of this case, side by side. Interim Chief of Investigations Brian Scott, Chief Deputy District Attorney Mark Ott, Chief Deputy District Attorney Mark Dennings, Supervising Deputy District Attorney Caitlin Casey, Deputy District Attorney Kathy Murray, Deputy District Attorney Stacy Derman, and my entire victim witness unit that is working with the sergeant and the victims of these horrible crimes. Thank you.
What we plan to do next is we're going to show you some body-worn camera footage from our sergeant's camera. What I ask of each of you is to really put yourself in the position of that sergeant. There is no more lonelier place than where that sergeant was that night. The heroic efforts, the communication, the leadership as a first-line supervisor in the field was unmatchable. A true hero. But again, when you watch the body-worn camera footage, please think if that was you, how you would feel. Let's start with the footage.
Northbound Kent Field. Looks like they're looking for a spot to fill bail. They're returning to Gateway Court. Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! I got a shot! 78, I'm shot. I'm taking rounds. Gateway Court! Gateway Court! We're still shooting! Northbound Kent Field. Looks like they're looking for a spot to fill bail. They're returning to Gateway Court. Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! I got a shot! 78, I'm shot. I'm taking rounds. Gateway Court! Gateway Court! We're still shooting!
It's even difficult to imagine how one would feel in that type of situation. I don't even have to explain what type of individual it takes to make those type of sacrifices for their community. When he's doing what I have asked of all my staff, which is to do their job. And he did his job effectively and efficiently, and he's a hero. I'm going to pivot to a couple things right now before we open up for questions. One of the things I want to comment on is our staffing, which seems to always come up in the media. Currently, we are at 359, whereas last year today at the same time period, we're at 393. What I do want everyone to know is that our shootings are down 27%. At the same time, last year we had 81 shootings. Right now we're at 59. Our homicide unit has been doing incredible work at clearing cases. Right now they're at 40% clearance rate. Year to date, we're at 31 homicides. Last year to date, we were at 30. Firearms seized. Year to date, we have seized 406 firearms. These are firearms from those who are prohibited from possessing firearms that should not be on our street with firearms. Our goal will always be to take that criminal element off the street, to take those driving crime off the street. We have a great partnership with our community members that are zero tolerance now. Here in Stockton, it's not gonna happen. We're going to continue to build relationship with our community partners, and we're going to continue to get the element off the street. Also, year-to-date arrests have exceeded year-to-date arrests from last year at this same time period. And again, this is done with less than 50 officers compared to what we had last year. We're lean, but we're still very effective and efficient, and we're reprioritizing our efforts where it needs to be.